guys, welcome back to another Stitch with me. I'm a day late on this one. It's just been a busy week. So I hope everybody's doing good. I've got Winter Rose Manor out by Brenda Gervais. This is on 25 count Lori Holt Prim Lugana. So what I'm doing today, so before I started recording, I actually finished these trees. I was just waking up, so I was working on that, and then while I'm recording, I'm going to fill this in with the roasted marshmallow. So that way I don't have to think, I can just fill it in. I hope everybody's having a good week. I might have already said that, sorry. So today is Parker's birthday. He turns 11, or he's 11, and so the plan is we're going to take him to a water park. It's about an hour away, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and it's a nice water park to take him to because it's not too big. He can kind of swim, like he can't swim all the way. So I'm comfortable with him being in water with me with him, supervised, but not over his head. And so he can't go down the water slides, but they only have a couple big water slides. So it's a good size. It's not too big. There's lots of little things for him to do there, and there's a lazy river and like a pool and one of those play sets where it has water squirting out everywhere, and that's really what he's gonna like. So it's just the right size. It's not too big for that I worry that there's too much going on for him, and hopefully it won't be too crowded. I looked at if you look on Google, it will kind of tell you how busy a place is at certain times of the day and certain days of the week, and it had today as not being a very busy day as compared to the weekends. So hopefully it's not. Here in our area, kids are already in school, but in that county they are not in school yet, so people are still able to go out and do things. So anyway, a little crowd's okay. We just don't want it to be super crowded because that's not going to be good for him. So hopefully everything will work out well. I think he's going to have a really good time. He's had a good week. It's been a little bit of a crazy week. Anything like birthdays, Christmas, he gets really overstimulated. So it can be tricky because we have more meltdowns, we have more anxiety. When he was younger, when he was like 5, 6 years old, Christmas was really hard. He was in public school, and it was like every day was having these horrible meltdowns, and finally we figured out that it started after Thanksgiving when they went back. And we figured out it's because the routine gets off because it's Christmas time, and sometimes teachers put up different decorations and they start talking about Santa Claus. And we realized early on because of this that we could not say that if you were bad, Santa wouldn't bring you gifts. Because anytime he had a hard day at school, which was not his fault because he's on the autism spectrum, school was hard for him. He thought Santa wasn't going to bring him gifts, and it was awful because it's really hard. Once he gets something on his mind, it's really hard to get him to change his mind. And he was just convinced that if he got in trouble at school, that Santa wouldn't come. So I had to tell everybody, do not talk about naughty or nice, good or bad. Do not talk about that. Santa brings kids gifts, even if they have bad days, even if they make mistakes. Santa will come, because we made the choice to to have the Santa thing. And he's just now starting to figure all that out, so we'll see. Yesterday, he'd already asked me about the tooth fairy, and he said, is the tooth fairy real? And I don't know what little ears might be listening to this, but I gave him an honest answer. And when he asks about Santa, what I say is, well, what do you think? And I'm just letting him figure it out, because I found out in 3rd grade, my grandma told me. I was like, Mama, and I asked her, and she's like, I'm just going to tell you the truth. And she told me the truth. So, yeah, so, he has stopped asking. What I've noticed is, because let me tell you what, this child asks for gifts every day of his life. He constantly has a wish list. He always has a wish list. So he has stopped saying, can Santa bring me this? Can Santa bring me that? He says, can you and Daddy get me this? Can you and Daddy get me that? So I think that's probably a telltale sign that he's asking us, But his big thing right now is he continues to beg for another cat. He watches cat videos. He's quit watching gaming videos and he started watching cat videos all day long. I hear meow, 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 like all day long. In fact, I kept hearing a cat meowing and it sounded just like video he had been playing. And I was like, are you playing that video? And he's like, what? And see, sometimes he'll do that and it'll be a trick. And I'm like, come on, you're playing that video. Well, no, he wasn't. It was Stormy. She was locked in the bedroom. And she was meowing to get out. But because he had been playing cat videos all day, I thought it was a video. He has the breeds. He's been asking for like 4 different breeds. He watches this guy on YouTube who rescues kittens in Russia, and right now he has 21 kittens, and he must find them homes because they're not like full-grown cats. They're little, like Stormy, or like young, young cats. And he's like, he has 21 cats. How come we can't have 21 cats? So yeah, when he gets older, I'm gonna have to like regulate his house. He's going to end up having like 30 cats. He's going to be a cat hoarder. We already have so many pets, my head spins, so like we can't take on any more. And I told him, I'm like, listen, we cannot take any more pets on. The last 3 pets we took were not planned, and we were just like doing the responsible thing and taking care of them. But yeah. So I think he's gonna have a good birthday. Since we had his party on Sunday, which we had a really, really, really small party, but we're just gonna go to the water park today, and I have some stuff to make some funfetti cupcakes for him, and he's got one more gift. He's already gotten his gifts like spread out over the week. He's got one more gift, kind of like his bigger gift today he's gonna get. And because what I did is I gave him, he kept asking for all this stuff, and I said, look, this is the budget excuse me, this is the budget that you have for your birthday. I can either give you the money and we can take you shopping, or you can tell me what you want and we will spend that budget. So he picked out some stuff. The stitch is messed up. He picked out some stuff online that he wanted, and so this is the last thing that I wanted to make sure he had something to open on his birthday, because he kept, getting things early. So I was like, I put this one thing back to make sure he has something for today. So I started physical therapy for my back on Tuesday, and I did it again. I did the same thing. That stitch must be like weird. I came right back up in that same spot. Actually, I don't think I redid it. I think I did it from the front. And then the way they had to schedule it was they had to schedule me for, I'm going 2 times a week. They had to schedule me for the next day. So I went Tuesday and yesterday, which was Wednesday. And they gave me a good workout. Alright, let me see if I can do this stitch correctly. Okay. So, but you know, I know it's going to help. They're giving me a good workout. And right now they have me scheduled for 6 weeks. I would love to not have to go for the whole 6 weeks because it's a pain in the butt. I have to take Parker, meet him at my husband's job when he comes, his day job when he comes out from work, and then he has to take Parker to his mayor office, which he can't get anything done because Parker's playing, and you know, it's fine, but on days when he has meetings and stuff, I don't know what we're going to do. I guess I'll have to get my mother-in-law to come over because I don't want to ask her to babysit like that a lot because she works with my husband and she has a really hard job. My husband loads, he works in shipping, so he spends half his day loading tractor trailers with, they make like electrical substations and things like that, like when you see these things, it's just, I don't know what they're called. Anyway, well, my mother-in-law works at the same place, really close to where my husband works, but her job is really physical, and she's gonna be, let me think, she's gonna be 65, and she really has like what you would call a quote man's job unquote, only because it requires a lot of upper body strength. Well, she's little, she's petite, she's probably 5'2" or something. She probably weighs like maybe 145 pounds, 150 pounds or something like that. So she's a small woman, and she does really hard labor, as far as when, you know, when she's at work, she has a really physical job. So anyway, I hate to ask her when she's worked all day to come here, you know, maybe 1 time a week, but not 2 times a week. I don't want to do that. But when I was pregnant with Parker, I was about, goodness, I'd already had a couple ultrasounds. I can't remember what happened. I was pretty early in my pregnancy, and they found that I had what they called a cyst in my ovary. So I was pregnant and I had a cyst in my ovary. Now, I'm sorry if this is TMI. Just turn the video off if it's TMI for you. This is just, you know, I'm just sharing my story of having Parker because it's his birthday. And they were like, well, you know, it's not very big. It was, you know, a couple centimeters or something. So they were just going to monitor it. I was going to have some extra ultrasounds so they could monitor it and just see what happened. So when I was about 4 months pregnant, 4.5 months pregnant, I started having really bad pain. And they were like, the doctor was like, oh, it's just your muscles. It's just your muscles from being pregnant. Just normal, like, pregnancy pain. I'm like, no, this is different. I'm in a lot of pain. And I was just doubled over at work. I couldn't even work. And so they did an ultrasound that day or whatever, and it was now a tumor. What they discovered, it was a tumor in my ovary and it was growing. So they were like, if you have surgery, you could lose your baby. And I don't know, this is 11 years ago, so things may have changed by now, but this time, what they did to correct that during pregnancy put you at risk for miscarriage. And I said, okay, I am not having surgery unless there's something where my baby's life is being at risk. I will take the pain. So I had like 12 ultrasounds during my pregnancy because they had to measure it, and I was put on bed rest at about 5.5 months, and it was like on my right side, and it was bad. It was really bad. I was in extreme pain every day, and I had to go to the hospital a couple times, and then I went into early labor, and thankfully they were able to stop the early labor because it would have been too soon. And I eventually had to have a scheduled C-section, because what they were going to do is when I had my C-section, they were going to take out my ovary and the tumor. So it was called a teratoma tumor, and thankfully it was benign because they had to get it tested. And so I did lose one of my ovaries when I had Parker. And I don't know if you're into medical stuff, but if you're not, I'm sorry. Please don't hate me for telling this story. The tumor was as big as his head. So what happened was he was crowded in my stomach. He was crowded because he didn't have enough room like a normal baby would have in the stomach. So when he was born, he had a little bit of jaundice, but he was healthy. But we noticed that he would only turn his head to the right. He wouldn't turn to the left. So he had something called torticollis. So when he was 2 months old, he started being evaluated for that, and the first doctor was like, the first pediatrician that we started with was not helpful at all. She was like, just do some exercises at home. So I did all the home exercises. I did everything he told me to do, and it was not getting better. And so finally, he was about 4 months old when they finally sent him to physical therapy. And physical therapy was wonderful. They helped him so much, and they worked with all those muscles and everything. And by this time, his head was forming incorrectly, which is called plagiocephaly. And so he was sent to get a baby helmet. So I don't know if you've ever seen if you've ever seen a baby that had a helmet. He had one of those, and to try to correct his head. And he wore it from May until November, and it did not correct anything. He had to wear it 23 hours a day, 7 days a week. I could take it off 1 hour a day to give him a bath and to clean the helmet, because the helmet was disgusting. It's kind of like a cast, you know, because it's on him 23 hours a day. And I tell you what, it did not bother him, though. He lived his life. He lived his little baby life like completely normal with that helmet. Because it would worry me to death. And they told me, they said, look, it's not going to bother him. And it didn't. Laying in the crib, on, you know, he was too little. He wasn't walking, but like sleeping, playing, eating, he just lived his life like normal. The only thing is that he learned he could kind of like bang his head on stuff. Not hard, but like, you know, he could like kind of like lean forward and put his head on the like edge of his crib, or, you know, on a toy or something like that. And so when he finally, when he was 11 and a half months, how old was he? He was 14 months old or 13 months old, and there was no improvement, so we decided to take the helmet off because his head had already grown to where it was going to grow. There was no correction that could be made. He took it off, and he would just like let his head hit stuff, and it took him a couple weeks to realize like he was going to get a boo-boo because he was so used to having that helmet on. But he was cute as a button with that thing. I'll try to remember, and I'll insert a picture of, I mean, the child was spoiled rotten because everybody who saw him was like, I just want to eat him up. He is the cutest little thing with that helmet. And whenever I see other helmet babies out, you know, I'm always like, oh, you know. So, and I don't want to discourage anybody if your child or grandchild needs a helmet. Like, they can be very beneficial for lots of different things. It's just that in his case, there was no change. He was in physical therapy early, and that's what, him being in therapy early for that kind of helped us went on his autism journey, because we already could see he had developmental delays, and he was a very late crawler, a late walker, and most of his delays were physical, and that was because of the neck issue. They said because his development of his head and neck muscles was so behind that he would be behind on all his other things. So he was already being evaluated for those delays. And then we had signed up for a program. I signed up for a program for first-time moms to come into my house, and she would come once a week and work with me on child development, and she would bring Parker books, and she was really helpful with a lot of things, and she helped me through each of those stages, and she did her evaluations too. So, and the reason I knew about this program was because my best friend at the time had that job in another state, and I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I knew what she did for a living, and I was like, I need somebody to come and help me, because I didn't know anything about babies. Nothing. I mean, nothing. I had never, like, taken care of a baby ever when I had Parker. So, I was completely ignorant. But we had a lot of extra services anyway, so that helped us on our journey of his autism. So, I guess, you know, because he was the only child, I didn't know what kids were supposed to do. I mean, of course, I read all the books, I kept up with stuff online, but every child's different. So, what may be a developmental delay in one child is just, you know, it presents itself differently. So, some kids are just a little bit late in their development, but other kids have actual developmental delays. So, it's important to let the experts help you navigate that to find out if your child is just a little bit late in learning things, or if they actually have a delay. So I'm just thankful for all of that help we had along the way. But I tell you what, people in, you know, that we had friends and family that were like, he's just a boy, just let him be a boy. And I'm like, you don't understand. I know my child. He's not just being a boy. My child needs help. And if I had listened to those people, he would not be where he is today, because, you know, and so many people will say, you know, that they have grandkids or nieces and nephews that are presenting symptoms of autism, and their parents just refuse to get them checked out. And then what happens, refusing to get your child checked out doesn't make it go away. So what happens is they end up going to school, and then the teachers have to say, oh, I think your child needs to be evaluated. Then the parents say, the teacher doesn't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. My kid's fine. Well, I'm sorry, the teacher does know what they're talking about. They're trained and they have, 20 kids a year that they work with. They know what your child should be able to do or not. And, and then what happens is the teacher gets the blame. And then by the time the child is in 3rd or 4th grade, they finally get the child tested and the child starts getting help. So by then, the most important years to get your child help is 0 to 5. 6 is okay too, but 0 to 5 is when they're getting all of that crazy development, And once they get past, 6 years old, it's a lot harder to get those changes in. It's a lot harder. So early intervention is so important. It's so important. But some people are just in denial and they don't get their kids the help they need, and that's sad. So, and it's funny, my husband, there's a man who works for the town, and he's on the autism spectrum, and he works, I don't know how many hours a week. If I was going to guess, I guess maybe 10 hours a week, maybe 15. And what he does is he kind of takes care of the flowers, like he prunes them, keeps them looking nice. That's his passion. And I think he waters some of them. I'm not sure, but that's what he does. He takes care of like the bushes and flowers. I think the big thing he enjoys doing is like deadheading them and stuff like that. But he does a really good job. Well, my husband had Parker in his office, and this man, I don't know how old he is. If I was going to guess, I guess he's probably between 28 and 30 years old. He came in to talk to my husband, and my husband introduced him to Parker, and Parker's like, I have autism. And he said, oh, I have autism. And my husband said it was so funny because they were like, they were talking over each other. They had the same habits. They both were interrupting each other, and they were both getting like frustrated because the other one wanted to talk. And like they both had the same level of social skills, and it was it was like Parker was like a mini-me of this guy, and oh my gosh, he was telling me, he was like, it was crazy. And he said it was cool to see him interact with somebody like him but older, and he said it was really cool to see that. So, and it gives me hope because this man, he lives in his own apartment, and he does have like a job coach and stuff like that from the local I don't know what you call it. It's like a disability center. They provide jobs, and they also have housing and stuff, but he's able to live on his own, and he lives close enough. He actually lives in the same building as my mom, or the same complex as my mom. He's able to walk to work. He can walk to the store, but he also has someone who comes in to like give him rides and things like that. And I think his parents are in his life too, but they're getting up in age, so he is living independently. So that's really nice, because that's something I worry about all of the time, because I have no magic ball to know, or no crystal ball to look into the future and understand. And let me tell you what, not knowing what's going to happen to your child if you would pass away is absolutely terrifying. It is my biggest worry, that what would happen to my husband and I mean, what would happen if something happened to Mike and I, because Parker has lots of people who love him, but loving someone is not the same as understanding someone to the point of where you're able to provide care, and that's just, it's really hard, really hard. So that's why I had my gastric bypass, because I knew I was, struggling with my weight, and I still struggle with my weight. I definitely do. But the gastric bypass really helped me because it got rid of my high blood pressure. I didn't have diabetes, but if I did, it would have gotten rid of that. And it just made me a lot healthier. So, when I lost my brother, I was like, I've got to do something because I don't want my child to be without a parent like my nephew. And, so that's when I made the decision to have gastric bypass because I knew I couldn't do it on my own because I had an issue with food of, making those choices. So that's why I did it. It sounds depressing. It's a happy day. I'm very excited. Hopefully I'll get this video uploaded before we leave, because if not, I'll have to do it tonight. And we'll go to the water park and have fun. Now my husband, he's one of these people that he hates a cold pool, so I hope it's warm enough. Because he's one of these people, he will not just get in a pool. He will literally put one teeny tiny toe in 1 inch at a time. It's painful. It takes him 30 minutes to get in a pool. And I'm like, just jump in. So, he's just he's not a water park kind of guy. But we're doing it for Parker. I love stuff like that. I love swimming. I love water. So, it's right up my alley. But, yeah, I think we'll have a good time. It'll be a nice family day. So, but thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me. I got a lot of this filled in, so I'm happy about that. And if nothing happens, I'll be filming my floss tube tomorrow. Oh, and if you haven't already watched, I do have a WIC Parade 1-year anniversary video, and I have some giveaways on that. So if you haven't already watched, go check out that video and enter for those giveaways. And I am going to run that for 1 more week because there's 3 of them. I want everybody to have a chance to watch the video and comment if they're interested. So, alright guys, have a great day. Bye.